Good evening, all the respected dignitaries, esteemed members of the profession, learned participants, and dear colleagues. On behalf of the Members in Practice Committee of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, I extend a warm welcome to all of you to today's webinar under the series Future Ready CA Practice, Smart Compliance, Connected System, and Practice Automation. Today's session is on very practical and highly relevant topic, connected GST and ITC optimization. The focus of today's session will be on practical aspects such as end-to-end GST filing, control, EBC DSC, tracking and correction, direct data fetch from GSTR1, 2A, 2B, 3B, and IMS, auto reconciliation, mismatch handling, and real-time ITC visibility and optimization. We are honored to have us with the respected leaders of Members in Practice Committee for this webinar. It is our privilege to introduce CM Madhukar Narayan Hiragange sir, Chairman of the Members in Practice Committee ICI. Sir is a highly respected leader of the profession, widely known for his deep commitment, strengthen the practice capability of chartered accountant, especially small and medium practitioners. Under his visionary guidance, the Members in Practice Committee has been consistently working towards capacity building, technology adoption, practice development, professional empowerment, and future readiness of CA firms. Sir, we are grateful for your guidance and leadership. I now request you to kindly deliver the welcome address and opening remarks.
Thank you, Vishal. I think I will use the PPT, part of the PPT which we have done for practice.
Tech team, please make co-host, sir.
I will take. First of all, welcome to CA Rupal Garg, who is the main faculty for today's program. And I also will listen to him with interest. I have some conflicting, sessions also. So I may leave after some time. So let us see. Yeah. Yes. I will take around 10 minutes, Rupalji. Gargji, 10 minutes I will take. This is basically, since we are from the CMP committee, I am trying to reach a particular thought process and also some what we want to share with people. So if I look at the way things are moving today, if I look at GST practice, you'll hear from Mr. CA Rupal Garg exactly the nitty-gritty of how you can do this, how you can evolve, how you can scale. Leading is left to you. So if I look, if I see what's happening in this world, automation is reshaping compliance. What you're going to see practically what is happening. Also, clients are expecting much more from us. They just don't want only filing. They want insights. They want strategic guidance. They don't get into this. You should do this, take an opinion for this, get a review done in this area. This type of advice client is looking at, not just, yes, sir, I have filed your return. Beyond that. And GST is a gateway because everybody needs GST. Among our practicing members, 80 to 90% of the members are doing GST work. So if I can increase my depth in GST, I can also bring about an idea of providing services in areas other than GST. So if I look at the mindset which is there, very important, we are focusing on mindset in our committee. We are looking at the present professional mindset. We want to see whether it can become a practice mindset. That is looking at compliance. Mr. Garg will tell you what you can do. Earlier, what used to take a long time will take less time. That can come up with a scalable solution. Also, This time which is saved, I will use for building relationship and also building, upskilling myself in for the future. Earlier, we used to bill based on work-based or time-based. Now, in future, we may have to look at how we can earn by value-based. I add this much value to you, you give me this part of it. Earlier, we had smaller institutions. Even today, we have that. Proprietors are maximum. Tomorrow, if I look at 3 years from now, I don't think practitioners can survive unless they are in niche practice. Of course, if they are having one expertise in one area, then they can go ahead and continue. There are a lot of specialization opportunities in GST itself, because up to High Court we can go. In our office, for example, out of 100 chartered accountants who are there, we have 20 who are pursuing LLB, and in them, about 6 of them have finished LLB and are with the bar today, and they are practicing in a law firm. This is the reality where things are going. But we can also go for review. We are good at audit, so we can do the GST reviews, which are very useful. And in that review, today you will get some ideas from Mr. Garg how we can do it. We also can get into GST training and digitization, and there can also be industry specific. For example, the new FTA which has come with Europe will open up possibilities. Exports itself is a possibility. Real estate is a possibility, like that. So we have to go beyond compliance filing, and this can be done by starting to build systems, standard operating procedures, checklists, knowledge, even for knowledge management, central pool. Of course, now you have some software also, which is pretty good, which can support you in your GST. Technology is certainly a very big change bringer for us, and we need to take care of our office people. We need to hire them now, not for clerical jobs, but for thinking jobs. So therefore, attitude and aptitude, very important. All of us need to continuously learn. Today, so many of you have joined to listen to Mr. Garg. We also need to learn delegation and accountability and have a good leadership pipeline. With this, I would like to thank the CMP committee for asking me to come and share some time with you. Thank you very much. Over to you, Vishal. We can't hear you. Vishal, you're on mute.
Thank you very much, sir, for your inspiring and thought-provoking remarks. We shall now move to the technical session of today's webinar. It is my pleasure to introduce our eminent speaker for the day, CA Rupal Garg ji. CA Rupal Garg, sir, is a chartered accountant, educator, policy advisor, and faculty member associated with ICI, ICSI, ICMAI, and having rich experience in financial management, GST, automation and intelligence consultancy, and professional capacity building. In addition to his GST expertise, he is an AI enthusiast and tele-invalidist and has completed multiple ICS certification courses including GST, MSME, anti-money laundering laws, and artificial intelligence level 1 and level 2. I now invite CA Rupal Garg sir to take over the session on connected GST and ITC optimization. Sir, over to you.
Thank you so much. A very good evening, respected members, respected Chairman, sir. First of all, thank you for those extremely pointed words, which probably are due to the rich experience that you carry, and probably the thought-provoking words that you have mentioned. It is very rightly said that in this era of AI and automation, we certainly have to switch our ways, amend our ways, and move away from the compliance work to the strategic work, which actually allows us more time for ourselves, and rather allow us to value to the organizations certainly the billing also can be amended in that way as to how much value can I add to the organization. So revenue augmentation is of course a very important part, and that will flow with what you very rightly said. Uh, in this regard, the topic for today is, as the members are aware, that future DCA practice, smart compliance connected systems, and practice automation. My dear participants, the topic that we have today is, I believe, very simple, but at the same time, very, very crucial. A lot of our members in practice are actually spending a lot of time in GST return filings, and which is true to the core that return filing is actually taking up a lot of time, most of our in our offices. Although it is very important, but at the same time, the traditional way of filing return needs to be changed. I have actually seen many participants, many of the members who are downloading JSON file from Tally or some other software or maybe on the portal, then uploading those files. And when they actually see some errors, they go back to Tally or some other software and then sort of clear out those errors. And it takes up a lot of time. Uh, this actually essentially is taking us away from the core objective of having this degree, in fact, that we can actually justify our value in the society. So in order to add real value to the organizations, I truly believe that we should automate our tasks, these clerical tasks, as Chairman Sir has very rightly said, in most efficient manner. And in that respect, we are going to have a demonstration today about that. So first of all, I would like to share my screen through a very, very simple agenda setting for the day. And this is what we are going to cover in the next 2 hour session. So this is my screen, and this is the agenda for the day. That what all are we going to cover? Briefly, we are going to cover these things, and there are going to be 7 topics in all that we are going to cover today. We are going to take up Tally in essentially as a bridge that will detail us about all the practice management thing that we can do. But in the core of it, the connection and the automation would remain. So the first thing that we'll do is how to and understanding that what generally we are doing in data importing, then how to actually download GSTR 1, 2A, 2B, 3B, then IMS management. Again, we are going to take up. Auto reconciliation is, of course, I've seen, and sir, I'll be very honest that I've seen many participants who continuously look out for various tools that can do GSTR 2A, 2B reconciliation for them. And they are actively looking for such tools while such tools actually rest in their accounting software itself. So it's a real travesty that we are actually looking out for something else which resides in our accounting software itself, and we'll try to make use of what we can do with that auto reconciliation part, which will be very handy for the members. Then how to handle the mismatches, because certainly once we get the mismatches, then to clear them out in the most efficient manner, and real-time ITC visibility, considering the IMS and also the to be cutoff dates, also the Section 17(5) considerations. And then ITC optimization is going to be the topic which is very, very important at the time of filing return because of the Rule 88A, which essentially sometimes takes up your CGST credit and focusing you to pay on SGST mode. So we are also going to take up those things. So let us start, and I'll start by sharing my screen on Tally. All right. So this is my screen that I've shared. Now, many of my participants, I'm aware that they're filing their GST return on manual basis, meaning thereby, although they're using softwares, but they're downloading JSON file, exporting JSON file from the softwares, and then uploading to the GST portal. This can be avoided in a very, very, very easy manner. Uh, any tool allows you to have a certain sort of connection between the GST portal through APIs, and APIs is something that we can set up in the GST portal itself. And let us see how can we get started. Now, if you have any GST data in a JSON file, I am going to open my dashboard with regards to GST. And you see, when I start with this, let me go to GSTR1 reconciliation. And if you'll see my GSTR1 reconciliation, this is my screen. One thing you'll see that it says that there are no GST reconciliations, or there are no GST invoices which are reconciled at the moment. So there are 100% invoices which are unreconciled, and there is no invoice which is reconciled. If I sort of change the period to the last financial year, and then I come to the noting, it again will say that I have 100% unreconciled invoices, which, of course, as you can see, that I have only 55 invoices, all of which are unreconciled and none of them are reconciled. Now, as an auditor also, when I get this sort of data, the first thing that I put my staff to is I say them that sit down on the system and start matching the GST portal with the data on the Tally or on the accounting software. And sir, to be very honest, it takes up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of human resources, as you have mentioned, that we must be managing our human resources in the best optimization manner and best way possible. So this is my proposal today, that we must sort of automate all these things by simply using the exchange interface of Tally. And how can we do so? Let us get started. So when you have a sort of gateway, this is the gateway of Tally that we have. And in this software, I'm picking up Tally that most of our members are actually using Tally as a accounting software and as a bridge, which automates a lot of things. However, we are open to discussions towards the end of the session also. But let us focus on this currently. Karan ma'am, have you actually noticed that once you up your GST registration, the first thing that you should be doing is instead of setting your GST number also, you should also be logging into the GST portal by your inputting your GST username. Please see how. So I am on this interface. I go to exchange. I have all GST options. And there's this first option, which is called GST login or logout. I click on this and it says me, do you want to update your GST username? So I am going to type out my GST username, whatever it is. Uh, let's say this is my GST username and I will press enter. I'm going to show it again. How did I do that? I simply went to exchange on Gateway of Tally, all GST options, GST login. I press enter, type in the username. You do not need to know the password, although it is recommended that you do have the password, but you do not need to know the password. It will then send an OTP to the registered mobile number and email ID. So I have got the OTP here with me, and I'm going to put up the OTP here, which will allow me to connect to GST portal. Now let us wait for a second. Let us wait for the connection to get established. And sir and ma'am, as you can see, we have done our first task successfully. We have logged into the GST session, which means that we have got the entry. Now, what to do with this? Once we have got the entry on the GST portal, the first thing that I will do, as an auditor also, I'm taking up that space. The first thing that I will do is to download all the GST returns so that I am going to be able to reconcile the data which is there in the software versus the data which is there on the portal. So the first thing that I must be doing is downloading the data. And downloading the data is as simple as logging in only. Also, I must tell you that once I log into any user, the session is going to remain active for 6 hours. After 6 hours, I will have to log in again. So how to download that GSTR 1, 2A, 2B, 3B, whatever. So I go to exchange again and I go to all GST options, and my dear participants might be able to see that there's an option of download GST returns, right? So I click on download GST returns and then I go to configure. Configure allows me to select the return type which I want to download. So I download GSTR1, enter, then I select the period, and assuming I am only selecting the first quarter of 25-26. Let's assume I'm only selecting first quarter of 25-26. So this would be till June 25. And then enter, and I'm going to click on download. Now it is going to do wonders. What it is going to do? It is going to connect to my GST portal and download all this data to my Tally. And with this, I will have everything in my Tally. Now, another way of doing it, this is one way of doing it. The another way of doing it is that if you have manually downloaded all the JSON files, let's assume that you have gone to the GST portal and manually downloaded the JSON files. That way, you can go to import, and I'll show that again also. I'll show that in a moment. You can go to import, and after you go to import, you can import the JSON file which already reside in your system as a JSON file, maybe somewhere in your laptop. So to my in my case, the download is complete, and I select OK. Should also show you how to do it without connecting to the GST portal, although that's a bit, I should say, a tedious task. But again, there's an option, so we should see that. I'll go to import and import GST returns. I click on GSTR1 and I select the path at which my JSON files are there. So that will allow me to upload the GST JSON files if I do not want that connection. If I manually want to upload my JSON files, which I already have saved in my system. And of course, as all of us are aware that GST JSON files are non-editable in terms of what is downloaded from the portal, it is there. So there are going to be no amendments to that. Amendments can only happen in the software. So the software data needs to be reconciled with the portal data. Right. So we have seen two approaches, my dear participants. We have seen two approaches. The first one was to establish a connection to the GST portal, download GSTR1, save it. And the second one was, if you do not want to establish a connection, you could have manually downloaded the JSON file and upload it to your Tally. In both these cases, the next task is that we go to dashboards, we go to display more reports, statutory reports, and GSTR1 reconciliation, and select the appropriate period. My period was 1/5/25 to 30/6/25. And my dear participants, now you can see that 13 of my invoices are reconciled. Welcome to the world of reconciliation where everything is automated. Now you can definitely avoid those Excel files where you have those large data and you manually check everything. No need of doing that. No need of establishing macros in your Excel, and certainly no need of exposing your data to AI tools. Because of course, we all love AI. And sometimes in the love of AI, we forget about the confidentiality of the privacy part. So we expose all our data to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever AI tool that is. So let's not do that. Let's keep our data confidential. And at the same time, let the accounting software, dedicated accounting software, handle my reconciliation part. Now, my dear participants, as you'll see that I have 13 reconciled invoices and there's one unreconciled invoice. So I go to those 13 reconciled invoices and there's nothing to do. In fact, these are all the reconciled invoices and Tally has automatically reconciled all those invoices. My focus will be on this invoice. This is the invoice which is available only on portal. So I click on this and I click on enter. You see, this invoice is available only on portal. This invoice is not available in my books. Right. Before I move on, before I move forward, there is also an uncertain transaction. There's also an uncertain transaction. I click on this, and when I see this, it looks familiar. It looks familiar. And my dear participants, in fact, if you're able to see, this is voucher number 4, dated 9th April 25. Keep that in mind, please. If I go to available only on portal, this is also voucher number 4, 9th April 25, which means that this invoice was amended after being uploaded to the GST portal. This invoice was changed. The details were amended after being uploaded to the GST portal. What do I do now? What do I do? I click enter and I see this invoice which is there in my in my Tally. And a very good way of finding out what is the actual difference is that all the numbers which are appearing in a blue manner, which blue color, are the portal values, and the black ones are the Tally values. If I go to uncertain transactions and if I go to available only on portal, a quick checking or quick scan is going to reveal that the difference is in the IGST amount. The difference is in the IGST amount. The taxable value is there, which is same in both the cases. The IGST amount, and as a result of which invoice value is also changed. So I go to this, enter, and if I go to differential mode, it gives me an idea that what is the difference or what is the potential match. Now, this is a very good feature which is called potential match. That, sir, I have certain invoices which are available only on portal. I have certain invoices which are not correct also. So I must reconcile them first. And the potential match feature is a fantastic feature for that. We'll come to that again when we reconcile GSTR 2B invoices also. So I go to this, and if I see differential mode, it tells me that there's a difference of 3959.99 in my GSTR1 data, which is there on the portal, versus my books of accounts. Since I can see that the invoice is uncertain here also and the correction is required, I press enter. I again press enter. You see, uh, this invoice has clearly been amended because the amount as per calculation and as per transaction are different. As per calculation is 225990.01. As per transaction it's 229950.00. So I'm going to amend that manually. I'll have to amend that manually because I believe that the amendment was done at a manual stage only. And certainly I can make a note of it that this invoice was amended. And if I click on, right, just a moment. This was 225990.01. And if I just for a moment, yes, the amount is correct. And I do not send this for GST e-way bill. And now, my dear participants, please see that my all the invoices are reconciled. This is for first quarter only. This is for first quarter only. But all my invoices are reconciled. And this is a big sigh of relief that my GSTR1 data matches with my books. This is for first quarter only. Now, what do? I go to again, and let's repeat this task again so it will be very easy for us to understand what we did. We were at this gateway of Tally, and let's very quickly remind that or very quickly revise what we were doing. We went to Exchange. We went to all GST options, and the option was download GST returns. So I go here, and again I configure what is the GST return that I'm downloading, GSTR1. GSTR1 only for now. Then period I can select. Period, let's say June I had already done. So July 25 to March 26. And I am going to press enter. So it is now going to take some time to download all of my GST returns. And this is a great way of doing that. Let us now come back to the agenda and see that what we have done up till now. So we have understood the data import part. The data import part we have done, and now come to downloading various returns. One we have already done, 2A, 2B, and 3B, and then how to reconcile those. How to reconcile those with the data which is there in the Tally. It might take some time. So meanwhile, if we have any questions or any comments, Vishalji, do we have any questions or comments?
In the Q&A, there is no questions, but in the chat box, if I can see, there is none. So we may take
Nothing as of now?
No, as of now, there is yeah.
Sure.
There is none.
Fine.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So I'm waiting for 1 minute for this GSTR1 to get downloaded, and it is getting downloaded by every month very, very quickly. And traditionally, my dear participants, you would have done this through a software. There is no denying the fact that traditionally you would have done this through a software, and it would have taken a lot of time for you because then there was an interface between Tally, the software, and an Excel, which acted as a bridge between the two things. So we are eliminating the need for another software which needs to have an interaction with your accounting tool, because your accounting tool in itself is carrying all these fantastic features. So I'm going to just take a minute while I think my return till February 26 are already downloaded. And once I download GSTR1, I'm also going to download GSTR2A, 2B, 3B, and then reconcile all these so that my GST reconciliation is completed. And my dear participants, I'm sure that you already uh, are spending a lot of time, because whenever we do any audit, or particularly whenever we spend any time, whether it is statutory audit, whether it is tax audit or GST audit particularly, this reconciliation takes a lot of time. And today we are proposing different ways to ease our work in this manner. All right, all my invoices are already downloaded, all my returns are already downloaded. So GSTR1 downloading done. Now comes the part where you can check those invoices. So what happens is, let's go to DOG and GSTR1 reconciliation. GSTR1 reconciliation, set out the period. Let's select the whole period, whole year. And my dear participants will see that essentially I have 52 reconciled, 52 reconciled. I have 9 reconciled, but before 9 reconciled, I need to take care of these uh, uncertain transactions which have some corrections, which they require some corrections for. So I see what are the things which are wrong in this unreconciled invoices. I think again this is one invoice where the GST was amended later on. So I'll have to put that as per calculation only. 55476. I could simply accept the GST value, the portal value, and reconcile this. I'm doing it currently, 55476. And you'll see this now has uh, 5 invoices which have conflicts with masters. So I go there, and there are a few invoices which have uh, mismatches between the GST registrations of the party and transaction detail. Usually in this case, usually in this case, yes, of course, as you can see on the portal, in the on the screen also, this usually happens when a local party is local party means the party of your state is sending out goods to party who has registration in the other state as well, without creating a separate ledger for that other state. So this is what happens when you have to essentially charge IGST, you end up charging CGST and SGST. So we need to reconcile this also. And I go to this for a moment, transaction to master, 1425. And I still have a few invoices where the differences are, and these are invoices with exactly the same problem, exactly the same problem. So probably you have already seen that this problem generally occurs. This problem generally occurs when you have party which is of a different state, also in your state, which has multiple states presence, but the ledger that you're using is common for all. So if you're using a common ledger for all, that creates a problem, because when you have to charge IGST or when you have to charge CGST, HGST, there is a mismatch in that, interstate and intrastate. So let me again go back and see the 52 invoices which are reconciled. Now, these are very good invoices. Okay, fine. So these are invoices which are already reconciled. Then I come to unreconciled. And in the unreconciled, what are the reasons? Mismatches. First is the mismatch. Now, my dear participant, this is a very, very good feature of Tally Prime. And this feature was available since Tally Prime release 5. And in this feature, the amounts which are there on the portal versus amounts which are there on the system can get potentially checked up. And it has checked up because of the invoice number. So for example, This is an invoice which has IGST charged. This is as per books of accounts. And as per portal, if I change the basis of values, difference, if I change the value, then it will occur to me that in this case, the difference is of 3187, which I need to reconcile. There is one invoice which is available only in books, which is a credit note. Yes, this credit note is available only in books. This is not available in the portal. And there are thin invoices which are available only on the portal, which are not available in the books. So one of the reasons why this could happen is because the invoice could be of a different period. The invoice could be of a next period, or invoice could be of a previous period. And which is why you need to set out effective date. There's a very good provision that you can do is to set out the effective date. Through setting out the effective date, you can push an invoice to a next period or bring out an invoice from the previous period to this period. And we'll come to that in a moment. Then mismatch in return period is exactly what we were talking about. So see, 31st January as per my books of accounts and 31st December as per my uh, portal. So if I click on set effective date, and let's say if I take it as 31st December 2026 only, this invoice gets reconciled, and my dear participants will see that effective, yes, effective actually needs to be before the actual value only. So if I change this, yes. Okay, so this was 31st December 2025. 31st December 2025. I had to set this. Yes, I believe it should be okay now. Yes, so it is okay now. It is now fine. Now I come to available only on portal. So these were the invoices which are available only on the portal. And because of which I could very easily, sort of by setting up the effective date, I could very, very easily map my invoices which are there in GSTR1 portal versus the invoices which are there on my books of accounts. So a very good matching could happen because of this point. I'll come back to this. And now I'll also come back to one of the very good points which are available on the Tally Prime specifically is that you can not just download filed returns, you can also directly file GST returns through Tally only. And let us take an example in that case. Let's go to sales register for the month of, or rather, let's go to GST register of the month of May. And let's change it to June because the May returns are already filed. Today is 25th. The May returns would have already been filed. So let's change it to this. All right. Again. All right. So I have two invoices. I only have two invoices which I can upload to GST portal. Now, traditionally, what we would have done or what would have been told to us is that you go to export GST returns, then export, download the JSON file, then go to GSTR1 on the portal, click on prepare offline, and then upload that file. So that is what traditionally would have happened. Now, through connected systems, through connected GST systems, what you can do essentially is you can simply click on export GST returns, and there's a very good option of send online. So if I click on send online, you see upload is successful for UP registration June 26. So 2 invoices are already uploaded. And along with that, HSN summary, document summary, everything would have been uploaded. Let's see on the GST portal. Let's go to the GST portal and find out whether that has actually happened or not. Oh, meanwhile, I could have also logged in GST portal through Tally also. I could have logged in GST portal through Tally also. That direct login also would have been possible. So now in this case, we are going to go to GSTR1, go to return dashboard, go to the month of May, click on search, go to the month of June actually, click on search. And then when I go to GSTR1, my dear participants, this is not magic. This is connected systems. This is the benefit of connected GST. My 2 invoices which are there in my tally have automatically gone and been uploaded on my GST portal. No JSON file involved at all. No JSON file involved at any stage. So my 2 invoices are already there. What's even better is that my HSN-wise summary is also there. My documents issued are also there. So this return is almost ready to file, except for the fact that it is not 30th of June yet. So once we cross 30th of June and we are done with the accounting and billing part, we can simply go to the tally part and send GSTR1 through there itself. I hope this much is clear. I am going to reset this and refresh this. And at the same time, I'm going to log out and come back to now. I believe that this is not, I believe that this is not a new feature. This is a feature that you might have already explored. This feature you might have already explored. So what is a new feature? A new feature is in fact when you go to exchange and go to all GST options, do you see this option of file GSTR1? Yes. This is a brand new option which will allow you to file GSTR1, not just upload the data. And mind you, I'm not just uploading the data here, I'm filing GSTR1 from here. Except for the fact that it is 30th, it is not yet the month end, the month is still going on. So I technically cannot file GSTR1 as of now. But all you need to do is you need to go there and click on send. Sushi, filing has been initiated, downloading has been done, and it is now, yes, the downloaded summary is not matching with the summary in your books of accounts. This is simply for the fact that GSTR1 could not be filed as of now because of the month issue. But if you'll see, and from here, you can file, let's say, if I assume I need to file GST return, this is the mode of filing. This is where I can choose my mode of filing through EVC or through DSC. Now, my dear participants are already aware that for companies, it was mandatory to file GST returns through DSC, but during 2020 COVID period, lockdown period, the relaxation was made, and now they can also file their GST returns through EVC, which is electronic verification code. So this is the filing through EVC or DSC. And if I click on EVC, I type the authorized signatories PAN number, it is going to generate an OTP which will be received by the concerned authority, and they'll receive the OTP and then they can file the GST return. Currently, I'm not doing that, but I hope that this much is clear. So filing of GST returns, I hope that we are clear up till now. And any questions at all, we are open to taking up. Vishalji, do we have anything in the Q&A?
Sir, we will take up the questions after concluding the session. There are few questions as well, so we will take it.
Acha, is it concerned to GSTR1? Because I can give a demo again. If any of the questions are with regards to GSTR1, uh, if you can read out that question, because once we complete that topic, we'll move to the next topic as well.
Okay, so okay, there are few questions.
Hmm.
So one first question is many small. Just a minute. First question is many small and medium CA firms are still managing GST compliance through Excel sheets, manual downloads, and
Hmm.
client follow-ups, right? Client follow-ups over phone or over WhatsApp. In your views, what should be the first practical step for such firms to move towards a connected GST compliance system without making the process too much complicated or costly?
Absolutely. So, very good question indeed, sir. The process is not at all complicated, I must say, and the process is not at all costly, I must say. So, managing GST returns on Excel files is truly a thing of the past, and we must evolve. And the best thing that we can do is to establish workflows. The easiest thing that we can do is to establish workflows. Use two things. One is if you are still getting invoices of the concerned client in maybe image form or PDF form. So the easiest thing that you can do is use the OCR format, and through OCR you can upload your invoices, your bills through OCR in this, and automatically enter all your sales transactions in this. Then the second part that you sir spoke about was the follow up to the clients. I also believe that follow up somehow it is very mandatory, and this is something that should be avoided, but it cannot be in reality. In essence, it cannot be avoided. So, sir, the problem that we must face, we actually face is with regards to the follow up only, and to some extent that can be done through Google App Scripts, to through googling, through setting up your Google Sheets and Google Drive in one place. That will actually allow you to sort of manage your data at one place, and it will also ease up the clients not to send their data through WhatsApp, or rather they can simply upload their data through these Google Drives as well. So we'll have to be, as maybe Chairman sir said, we'll have to sort of shift the mindset towards the use of and adoption of technology. Right. Any other one, sir, please?
So there is one more question related
Please.
to with GSTR 1, 2A, 2B, and 3B and IMS becoming more important data points. What should be the ideal monthly GST review checklist for practitioners before advising the client to file the returns in regards to
Sure.
the GSTR 1 as well?
Sure. So, one very important thing that I would definitely say is to validate whether all your GSTR one recipients, as in your supply your customers whose names you are going to put up, whose GST numbers you're going to put up in GSTR1. One very important part is to essentially check whether they are B2B only, whether their GST number is active or not. And that's a very, very true part that all of you would agree with. Because generally, what happens is when you have a long list, and let's say you have 50, 60, 100 different customers, and you're issuing invoices to all of them, generally happens that once you are done with the part, you upload the JSON file and everything. At the time of filing, it gives you this problem that certain party has their GST registration suspended or cancelled, and because of which that should be reported in the B2C supplies instead of B2B supplies. So what to do in that case? Very good option. Right here on this GST portal, GSTR1, this tally, let's go again to the basics, DOG1, and there's this option, if you see, validate party GSTIN/UIN. So I'm going to change up my period for this month. There are only two invoices, although in my case, but let's say if there were 20 invoices, 200 invoices, so this would have been the best option. I'm going to click on validate party GSTIN, and you see, I have two parties only here. One is North Central Railway, second is Vishy Rail Infra, and I am going to fetch details using GSTIN. And you see, the GST status is shown to me as active in both cases. Had it been a situation where a GST status would have been suspended or cancelled, I should have shifted those supplies even though that's a B2B supply at the time of uh, issue of invoice, but while filing the GSTR1, they should be reported in B2C only or B2CS only. So what you are going to do, let's assume the second party, assuming that it is cancelled or the GST status is suspended. So I go to the party, I go to the party, I go to the other invoice. I'm going to click on update details, and I'm going to move them from regular to unregistered or consumer and clear out their GST number. And also set out the effective detail. This is very, very important. This is the step that you must not miss out. This is a step that you must not miss out. Set out the effective date for revised GST updates. That, sir, once the party who was GST registered active is now cancelled and suspended, in order for you to move them to B2C supply in the GSTR return, you need to change their status to unregistered or consumer, then set out the GST effective date from which it is to be deemed like this. So this is very, very important. In my case, of course, there is no party, but all these are registered parties, regular parties. But this is one very important thing that I should act as a checklist before sending out any GST return. This is very, very important in terms of the compliance part, right, sir? All right. So moving forward, let's see what all have we done, and let's move on to the next part. I think setting up, we have done the setting up by entering GST number and username password. Let's very quickly recap what all we have done. So we have done the setting up by entering GST number and username password. Password, in fact, was not required. You could have simply given a username, and the OTP would have led you to get the GST access. Then GST login by OTP, we have already done. We've already seen how to download GSTR1 in your Tally and then reconcile those invoices, and then to ensure if there are any mismatches or if there are any invoices which are differentiating or which have different details in your GSTR1 and books of accounts, how do you actually manage those? That's also what we have seen. And as one of the question was how to do this checklist, or what to do in this checklist of ensuring that the correct data is sent. So, sir, one very important thing that I believe we should do is to validate party GSTIN to ensure B2B and B2C. So your B2B and B2C supplies are clearly mapped. That will help you in saving time as well. Now let us come to the GSTR 2A part, and simultaneously we are also going to do the GSTR 2B part. So downloading GSTR 2A and 2B is very simple, and it is just like downloading your GSTR 1. You go to exchange, you go to all GST options, then you click on download GST returns, and then configure what return you want to download. Let's say I want to download GSTR 1, and the period also I'm going to let's say specify. And I click on download. So now my GSTR 1 is already there in my system. My GSTR 2A is getting downloaded, and I'm also going to download GSTR 2B, and then also going to download GSTR 3B. So this way, I'll have everything required, not just to complete my accounting part, but to also ensure that the tax audit, statutory audit would be hassle-free for me. And second thing, that at the time of filing GSTR 9, this is also marking my readiness for my GSTR 9, for my annual return. So I am also preparing myself to file my annual return within time and no hassles. We are also going to look up how to do that part, as well. Acha, very quickly, what we can do meanwhile is we can go to the checklist. How to download GSTR 1, 2A, 2B, and 3B we have done. So we can cross this out also. And shortly we'll go to IMS management also in a moment. So meanwhile, my GST returns are getting downloaded. I'll allow 1 more minute for them to get download. Also, this process get done every month. Yes, of course, in my case, I'm doing it at this point, which is very close to the audit part, the audit period, but it can be done every month so as to ensure that the data correctness is maintained throughout. And once you have any period where certain data could not be reconciled, the reconciliation is done in the next month. Right. Done. Now let's go to GSTR 2A reconciliation. Select the period, accounting period. And you see, in my cases, there are 59 invoices which are automatically reconciled. There are 59 invoices which are automatically reconciled by Tally itself. Without me having to do anything, simply the invoices were downloaded and then reconciled. Now, my dear participants, please understand that reconciliation between GSTR 1 books of accounts and GSTR 2A 2B books of accounts, it is an entirely different story. Because in case of GSTR 1, you are the data provider. You are the one who is uploading the data to the GST portal. So if there are any mismatches, then those mismatches must have been at your end only. Those mismatches must have been by someone who was authorized to do so, or who was in fact responsible to do so, or if there was any unauthorized entry, then that also must be detected. In case of GSTR 2A, 2B, 3B, I should only say GSTR 2A, 2B, the reconciliation with books of accounts is sort of a tiresome process. It's a tedious task. And I have seen many members, they look out actively for these GSTR 2A, 2B reconciliation tools. At the same time, I must also say that once many of our members, they sort of get their hands on with some AI tools, they also, the first thing that many of them have done is to develop their own GST reconciliation tool. And that is absolutely because of the nature of problem involved. Let us come to this now. In my case, GSTR 2A says that there are 59 invoices which are reconciled, and we can do this month by month. Let's say we start with first month. So the first month, there are 8 invoices which are reconciled. There are 11 invoices which are unreconciled. One is mismatch. 10 invoices are available only on the portal. 15 invoices are such which only need some sort of corrections. And those corrections, I am very hopeful that would be able to solve most of the problems. So I think, let me fetch the data. Okay, so GST data is not accurate, is what the issue is in this case. My dear participants, probably you would have seen that generally speaking, these sort of problems happen with L or I. You see, so someone, the accountant must have written the name, written the GST number as L, while in fact it was simply I. So I think I must also correct it here, and I'll be able to do it. You see, problem solved. Problem solved. This is what we do. Then there are invoices which have the problem of taxability type is invalid or not specified. These are, as my dear participants would see, these are all invoices which are of payment voucher. And in this case, when the ledger was created, for example, in this case, let's see, these are all, as I can see, salary ledgers. So let's say in this case, when this ledger was created, what happened? The GST applicability was put in as applicable. The GST applicability should have been not applicable. The GST applicability should have been not applicable. And you see, once I do that, the number of mismatches gets reduced. The number of mismatches are automatically reduced. So I click on enter, and similarly, if I do for all invoices, this will get corrected. Now, in this case, applicable tax type is not selected. Okay, very well. Let's see. CGST SGST is selected. This is the problem. Yes, again. So what happens is when the ledger type is not specified or tax type is not specified, then this is a problem that can occur. In fact, this is not a simple purchase. This is rather purchase of capital goods. So in that case, I'll have to put it into capital goods also. Then there are a few invoices where the amount was changed, modified in the transaction later on. So this is one invoice where the amount was modified or amount was changed. I need to correct this also, and then I can correct. I can get it to the correct position. So this is where I can create the uncertainty. I can remove the uncertainty and I can clear them out. Now, my dear participants, if I were to ask, what is the position of mismatch? What is the correct position of mismatch? So you'll see that 10 invoices are there in my GSTR, in my books of accounts. Only 10 invoices are there and 19 invoices are there on the portal. So one thing is for sure that in this case, the accounting is incomplete. The accounting is not complete, which is a major highlight that you can do. That since there are so many invoices which are not available on the portal, which are available on the portal but not there in the books of accounts, which clearly reflect that the accounting is incomplete. Anyhow, if we go to this gives us a very, very clear idea. This gives us a very, very clear idea of the entries which are not clear. So you see, now you have 3 types of mismatches. Instead, you can actually have 4 types of mismatches, but or 4 types of invoices. First one is mismatch. So there's an invoice which is mismatch. If I go to this invoice, the only mismatch is that the purchase number is 3, while in the books of accounts, I think the voucher number is 3. So if I go to the summary of this invoice, let's go back to the summary of this invoice. Let's go to voucher wise, and basis of values may we are going to do it difference. Basis of values may let's do it different. Okay, so I hope that you're able to find out that there is a difference of 0.01. That there's a difference of 0.01. Now, my dear participants, when you get to reconciliation of this sort, that even invoices of mismatch of 0.01 is pointed out, then it is actually a lot of wastage of your time. I believe all of us are aware about the concept of fuzzy match. Can I instead put this point in my tally that I don't want these minuscule differences or negligible differences to be highlighted? Can I do that? That I do not want the mismatches of 0.01, meaning 1 paisa, to be highlighted? Yes. Can I do that? Yes, I can do that. And how do you do that? There are 2 ways of doing it. There are 2 ways of doing it. while reconciliation, at the time of reconciliation, and this is where we are moving towards smart reconciliation. What you do is you go to statutory configuration. Statutory configuration. You go to enable goods and service tax, press yes. And here you have this option of more details. Go to show more, and there you will see something called as reconciliation configuration. Reconciliation configuration. Just give me a moment. I'll come back to this again and I'll show you how did I reach here. If you're doing it simultaneously with you, fine by me. And if not, you can let me know otherwise also. So what are we doing? We are pressing F11 so that we reach to the company features alteration. Then we enable goods and service tax. We press on yes. Then we go to more details, show more, then reconciliation configuration. Now in reconciliation configuration, you can actually place all these settings which you want for the reconciliation, which means that, and I'll read out for you. The first one is use voucher number and date as supplier invoice number and date. Because what happens is during purchase invoices, you have separate voucher numbers, and then below that you have the supplier number as well. So purchase number could be 3, supplier number could be 2. In some cases where the voucher number is not automatically maintained, it is not set automatically. When the voucher number is written manually, this could be common between the two. And which is why you could have asked Tally to not point out those mismatches. Getting my point? The second is, if the supplier document is to be matched, is it to be hard matched or fuzzy matched? Which means that, can there be differences yet similarities? Yes. For example, I have written invoice number 23, while the GST portal shows me invoice number 023. So is there a difference in reality? Is there a difference in reality? No. But is the system going to flag this? Yes. How to avoid system flagging this minuscule detail? By simply pressing yes here, that you need to ignore these details. Now, also in supplier document number, there are special characters. Let's go to this one. This is very important. Let's go to this one. There are special characters. For example, my invoice could be RG/2627/001, while you could have simply written 001. So in fact, there is no difference. In effect, the invoice number is the same, but your system is going to flag that as a mismatch. To avoid that, again, what you need to do is you need to sort of clarify that these invoices are same. Having a prefix or a suffix to the actual supplier document number is not a problem. Then it says, whether do you want to ignore difference in invoice value and taxable value? Let's say if I go to yes, I click on yes, and ignore difference in book and portal values, yes. How much difference is tolerable? How much difference is tolerable? So let's say in my case, I am saying that in difference up to 10 rupees, I could have given 2 rupees also. I could have given 1 rupee also. Difference up to rupees 10, in my case, should be allowable. This is what I'm saying. Applicable for taxable, tax, and invoice amount, which means all three, if they are having a difference of up to 10 rupees, and ideally it should not be 10 rupees, it should be just 1 rupee. Okay. Ideally, it should be only 1 rupee. So if there is a difference of up to 1 rupees, which means any paisa, if there is, you can round off the paisa and you will get exact matches. Your GSTR 2A, 2B reconciliation is not going to flag that invoice. That invoice is not going to get flagged. So I click on Control A and Control A, Control A, Control A, and I go back to reconciliation, my dear participants. Let's go to GSTR 2A reconciliation, which we were doing for the month of April 26, 30, 34, 26, 25 rather, 34, 25. And you see my unreconciled once I set it to the previous period, this difference will not get highlighted. And I think in my case particularly, this is because of the round off only. This is because of the round off only. So if I clear this, this automatically gets cleared out. Then I go to the next part where I have again a difference, and I can see how do I view this? Whether do I view this as difference in the values of both books of accounts and portal, or whether I simultaneously want to see what is the value of the portal and value as per books of accounts, and then maybe make a comparison. So in my case, I am not willing to do that currently, and this is my reconciliation part where I'm handling it in a manner which makes it very, very convenient for me. Any sort of difference, any sort of points which can be cleared out by simple logics, those are also being cleared out. In fact, if you are also doing this reconciliation from a leisure perspective, what happens generally is that, sir, let's say there's a particular party which uses a prefix or suffix. In my case, I'm not using those prefix and suffix. Okay, I'll give you an example. So let's say if I have this entry, Sri Lakshmi Trading. Okay. So in my case, the amount is a bit different. So what do I do here now? I go to the party. I go to the ledger. This is the original ledger that I was referring to. This is the supplier invoice number and everything. What happens is that this party uses a lot of prefix and suffix, and those could be mismatching. So I go to the party ledger only, and this is a very, very interesting part. I go to the party ledger only. I go to configure. And here on the right hand side, my dear participants might be seeing then an option of ignore prefixes and suffixes in document number for reconciliation. Very, very, very handy. Very, very, very handy. Ignore prefixes and suffixes in document number for reconciliation. If you press this as yes, you would be very, very, very easily able to identify what are the invoices or what sort of invoices you would want to ignore for having those extra prefixes or extra suffixes. So this is what happens when you have a fuzzy match. Fuzzy match means 80% matching. So if I click this yes, then for this particular party, those differences will not get highlighted. I hope this is clear up till now. Okay, we are fine. I hope we are fine up till now. Now, once if I want to repeat this point, what happens is once I ensure that this is done party wise, I know how to do this on party wise. I simply go to the ledger of that party. I press Control Enter, and in the configure part, I request it to ignore the prefixes and suffixes. This is when you want to ignore it on a party, single party wise. If you want it ignored for all parties, then there was a separate way that I demonstrated. And in that case, in that separate way, which was demonstrated, what happened was that we ignored it for all parties. And how did we do that? We went to F11, we went to configure company features, then we went to more details and show more. Then those reconciliation summary were available. And I'm going to show it again. I went to F11. I went to enable goods and services. Yes. I went to more details and I went to show more. And there was this reconciliation configuration. Also, you have this history of reconciliation configuration, which means that, and which tells you that whether this was amended any time in the past as well. Whether this was amended any time in the past as well, this is what can tell you. All right. So I hope we are clear up till now. Let's see. Let's have a very quick recap of what we have done. Right. So we are yet to go to IMS management. We'll go to that in a moment. I think auto reconciliation to some extent we have done. And then categorization mismatches is what we have somehow completed. But again, we are in the process of doing so. We are in the process of doing so. Now let us see how to download GSTR2B and how to do that reconciliation. It is very simple as to GSTR2A, but let's see it for a moment. So I go to all GST options and I go to download GST returns. I configure this and I change the return type. Return type is of course GSTR2B, yes. And I change it to, let's say, a particular month only, 1/4/25 to 34/20 or 36/25. So let's say that we are doing this for the first quarter only. Done. Let's go to the GSTR2B reconciliation. I think GSTR1 reconciliation we have sufficiently covered. GSTR2 reconciliation we have covered. And now we are going to GSTR2B reconciliation. If I select the appropriate month, now it gives me a very, very clear idea. And I believe a much better idea. GSTR2A reconciliation is to be done throughout because of its dynamic nature. It is to be done again and again. But what actually matters because of your ITC rule 36.4 gives you the power to avail ITC available in your GSTR2B only. So GSTR2B needs to be taken care of. So as per my books of accounts, my GSTR2B tells me that I have 20 reconciled, a few unreconciled, a few which are there in the previous periods or different periods. And then there are invoices which are available only on the portal. There could also be invoices which are available only on the in the books of accounts. So let's say if I make a dummy entry for once, if I make a dummy entry, okay, let's change the date. Let's change the number as well. Party name, let's say, yes, anything. Purchase, and let's put in anything. All right, 59,000 invoice. I've made sure that there is. And let's see what happens to my GSTR2B reconciliation now. Because this was the first invoice, the invoice number in the books of accounts would have changed for all. Now you see that there is also an invoice which is available only in books. There is an invoice which is available only on portal. There are so many invoices which are available only on the portal and which clearly indicates that the accounting is yet to be completed. Then there are invoices which have mismatches in return period. There are invoices which have mismatches in return period. So if I want to find out what is the mismatch, what is the difference, so I see that the difference is in the voucher number. Difference is in the voucher number. So for this, what I will have to do, I will have to go to the reconciliation logic and say that consider supplier invoice number as the document. Consider supplier invoice number as the document. All right. So now I have GSTR 2B unreconciled and I go to B2B invoices. This is the list of invoices which are matching and invoices which are not matching. To be very honest, sir and ma'am, I believe that this is a task that we have done multiple times, but through different softwares. And the fact that it resides right in our accounting tool gives us a lot of freedom to explore much features of this only. Also, it allows us to focus our important time on different aspects, different features as well, and to strategize further things for the organizations, because now you do not have to take out the data from the accounting tool to Excel and bring out that Excel from the portal, and then Excel acting as a bridge between the two to reconcile. Not anymore. Can be done within the accounting tool itself. All right. All right. All right. So if I go to party name, everything that I want. Now there's a very good feature. If I go to basis of values, all right. And if I want to have particular types of values only, particular types of reports only. So let's say if I have uh, only unreconciled invoices. So now I have only unreconciled invoices. Only invoices in which reconciliation is not there. Invoices in which reconciliation is not there. Furthermore, if I want to go to and if I type GST 2B reconciliation, it can again take me back to a different period which I wanted to explore, and without having to go back from GSTR 1 to 2A to 2B. If I want to switch, this feature can also be explored without having to move or toggle between those two manually. So this is again one very good feature, and I believe that can be explored. All right. So these are the unreconciled invoices, and we can reconcile those invoices very well. And what is the difference and what is the reason for reconciliation, that also we can check. All right. Moving on to now IMS, which is very important. If I go to IMS and there is no online last activity for IMS, so what do I do is I go to exchange, all GST, and it says me download IMS inward invoices. Now please beware that these IMS inward invoices will be downloaded for the current period only. For the current period only. They will be downloaded for the current period only. And my case, for current period, as my dear participants would see, that I have 9 invoices downloaded. 9 invoices downloaded. All right. In those 9 invoices, action required on 1 invoice. Action is not yet taken, and there are of course 3 actions that we can take: accept, reject, or pending. accept, reject, or pending. So if I want to take action on any of the invoice, if I want to take action on any of the invoice, I click on this, and let's say there is this invoice by Gagan Steels. Okay, there is this invoice on Gagan Steels. So I click on this and I see that invoice. I see that this is okay. I find this invoice okay. So I click on set GST status. Set GST status. I click on, okay, it is not yet available. I go to set action status. Set action status, and my IMS action would be accepted. No, with no remarks, I accept this. Let's say if I were to accept this also, I go to set action status and accept. If you want to do multiple, you can select, of course, you can select set action status, accept, and all these invoices will be accepted. But kindly note that these are accepted only on your system. These are accepted only on your system. These are not accepted yet on the portal. So how to accept them on the portal also? How to accept them on the portal also through Tally? Go to Exchange, all GST options, and you get this option of upload IMS invert invoices. Upload IMS invert invoices. So I am going to repeat this. I'm going to repeat this. Go to Exchange, all GST options, upload IMS invert invoices. So now it has all the invoices which I have accepted in Tally, but not accepted on the portal. I can send them online, which will accept these invoices. So I send them online. Let's say if I send them online. Now the important part would be to recompute GSTR 2B, because my dears are also aware that many times GSTR 2B is not generated until unless IMS is complete, until unless IMS is being marked. So GSTR 2B is not generated. To ensure that GSTR 2B is generated properly, you need to first take action. So what do? Do not go to the portal. You simply download all IMS invoices. You download all IMS invoices. You see whether your IMS invoices are okay or not. You see whether your IMS invoices are okay or not. And as a very beautiful feature that I explained was of potential match. A very good feature that I explained was of potential match. I'll show you that feature again. Potential match tells you that which invoice of the IMS could be matching to that invoice or a corresponding invoice to your books of accounts. So that potential match is also highlighted through that IMS downloaded invoice. What is the next step? Once you have taken an action, and you can select multiple invoices by pressing space and scrolling down. So you'll be able to take multiple selections at once. And after you are done by the multiple selections, after you're done with the multiple selections, you take your action, accept those invoices which belong to you, and then you go to Exchange. You again go to Exchange, GST options, upload IMS invert invoices. Upload IMS invert invoices. What is it going to allow you for? It is going to allow you to actually upload all these invoices and mark them as accepted or rejected or pending on the IMS portal. With this, you need to recompute your GSTR 2B. And I hope recompute GSTR 2B option is right available on the center of your screen. Okay. I hope this much is clear. Now, let's very quickly come back to what all we have done and very quickly see what we need to also cover. So I think GSTR 1, 2A, 2B, we have sufficiently covered. And then GSTR 3B. Yes. Now coming to GSTR 3B and ITC summary. Okay. Let's do that now. Let's do that. So once you go to IMS, and this feature arrives from the IMS only. So once you go to IMS, DOG, go to IMS, You see ITC summary here. This is your ITC summary, live ITC dashboard. Live ITC dashboard. What is your ITC? Available ITC, pending and rejected. This is, in fact, I must also mention here that this fact is readily not available on the portal. This feature, if you go to GST portal, it is not readily available. This feature is very well available within Tally also, and this is one of the features of using an accounting tool. So what is your ITC summary? What is your ITC summary? You can see here what is your available ITC, your pending ITC, and your rejected ITC. All right. If you want to change the basis of values, again, as I mentioned, that you can do that, make even a comparison only, or make have all the invoices showing only the differences. Showing only the differences. All right. Now coming to GSTR 3B. All right. Coming to GSTR 3B. So I go to download GST returns, I go to configure, and then I download the last one, which is GSTR 3B. I select the period. Let's select only for the first quarter. Yes, fine. And I click on download, and now my GSTR 3B is getting downloaded. Download complete. I go to, now there is no GSTR 3B reconciliation as it is. There is no GSTR 3B reconciliation as it is. So you need to GSTR 3B only. You need to go to GSTR 3B only. Select your appropriate period. Select your appropriate period. Then you need to go to basis of values. Basis of values. Comparison of books and portal values. Control A. And there you have it. Your GSTR 3B live comparison. Breakup comparison invoice wise. The biggest problem that we all face is that all the details which are available to us, those details are available in totality as a summary. Even if you go to GST portal and try to find out what are the details are available as a summary. The invoice wise differentiation would only be available on your accounting tool. It will only be available on your accounting tool. And which is why you see in my case, the table 3.1, which relates to the tax liability, it is largely reconciled. Largely. But there are, of course, differences. So I'm not saying that this is completely reconciled. All right. And you see the reason also. My dear participants, see the reason also. GSTR1 data is matching with GSTR 3B in terms of the supplies, but what is mismatching is the RCM. What is mismatching is the RCM. How do you record RCM transactions? F7, JV. How do you record RCM transactions? Go to F7, JV, record the transactions. Okay. And this way, you'll also match what the details are RCM wise. So this will 100% match. And my ITC, yes, of course, there are some differences. I need to clarify those differences. This will also match. And interest liability penalty entries also I have to do. Interest liability penalty also I have to do. And I'm going to show you in 1 minute how to do those entries also. Because simply doing those entries in JV or payment voucher is not going to help it. You need to specifically mark what sort of entry that is. You need to specifically mark what sort of entry that is. All right. So I hope GSTR 3B reconciliation, overall summary, year-wise, annually is also okay. See, these are stepping stones. And I am very glad that we have had this session today because these are stepping stones. And this is a very, very basic topic. A very, very basic topic, yet I believe very effective topic. And this is essentially done to clear out your mind from these topics because to show that these tasks can be repetitive and these tasks can be delegated to not different agents, but the agent sitting right there on our system. right there on your client's system. All right. Moving forward, I think GSTR 3B also, yes, we have done to some extent. Now let me come to the payment part. Payment part. What to do? Go to voucher. Okay. How to record properly the payments which are in the nature of statutory payments, meaning thereby challans. In your case, if the challan entry looks like something like this, let's say this is the leisure account and GST payable account, 269874.28, enter. Oh, it is getting good now. Negative. Let's say it is only 5,000 or 50,000. Is it the correct way? Is it the correct way? My dear participants, this is the wrong way of entering. This is the wrong way. Just keep it wrong. Let me remove a few TDLs that I have. Right. Now, when I make any entry like this, GST payable 50,000, enter. This is a very, very common mistake that we are doing. What we need to do specifically, please remember, sir, control F. Control F. Stat payment, GST. Now tell me what sort of a payment it was. Was it a tax payment for RCM? Was it a tax payment for other than RCM, meaning general tax payment? Was it for interest? Was it for late fees? Was it for penalty? Was it for others? And this way, you are actually going to reconcile with your GSTR 3B payment also. This way, you are going to reconcile with your GSTR 3B payment. So let's say this is a tax payment for what? 1/4/25 to 34/25. Okay, let's change the date to 15/5/25. Yes. Now, my dear participants, can you see that this entry is getting highlighted? This entry is getting highlighted as a statutory payment, and the payment type is called tax other than reverse charge. You could have given this as for interest, late fees, penalty, whatever you would want. But sir and ma'am, we are not simply going to mark any GST entry, any GST or statutory payment entry, just simply as an F5 entry. All right. So once I do the entry, what is the next step? What is the next step? I go to GST reports. I go to this very, very important feature, which is called Challan reconciliation. Challan reconciliation. Any challans that you have paid, whether this is GST challan or whether that is TDS challans or PF or ESI for that matter, any challans that you pay, you should mark it while making the payment entry. Control F, statutory, select GST or TDS, whatever you would like, and mark the type of payment that is. That will help you to identify at a later stage which challan was paid when. In this case, since 1st April 25 and 30th April payment was made, I am going to do what? I am going to upload. What is this type of payment? What is this type of payment? And what is the mode of payment? I think mode of payment also I did not record. What was the bank? What is the SIN number? All right. What is the challan identification number? Whatever I want to write. What is the BRN number or UTR? Instrument number, instrument date, payment date. All these things will be recorded from here. All these things will be recorded from here. All right. So this is a challan reconciliation that we must be doing every time. All right. Now, let us see, let us come back to the agenda and see that we have done the IMS management part, we have done the auto reconciliation, we have done the mismatch handling, we have done the real-time ITC visibility, and we are done left with the ITC optimization, right? So we have covered all the topics except for ITC optimization, which of course we are going to cover now. ITC optimization. And before that, let me also show you something in the GST utilities, which is a very easy feature, but I believe we can very well think about it. This is, sir, to create parties using GST numbers. So let's say if I have to create ledgers of my debtors, I should not be doing it manually. I should rather copy their GST number. Let's say if I copy a GST number, this is a GST number, I remember, and enter. So my tally automatically gets connected to the portal and fetches out the detail. So this detail turns out to be of the Reliance Industries Limited. I click enter under group sundry debtors. Why not? Yes. Sundry debtors. Enter. And all these entries are saved, except let's see if I have a ledger. Yes, I do. This is the ledger automatically created. Everything automatically set. So multiple GST numbers if I have, multiple parties if I want to create at one go, in bulk. This is a very, very, very effective way of doing it. A very, very effective way of creating multiple parties at once. Now, coming to the ITC optimization part. All right. So for ITC optimization, we'll have to leave Tally and we'll have to go to a very, very interesting AI tool. I'm sure all of you must have explored. I'll come to that in a moment, but I'll come to the problem which actually leads us to this point. So let me share my Excel file. Yes. So this is the Excel that I have. This is the Excel that I have. So my dear participants, and I'm sure you must be answering in the chat box. I'll turn to the Q&A at a later stage. But let's see that there's one very common problem that we have in GST. What is that? That I have, let's say, output GST and input GST. Let's say in output GST, I have only IGST, let's say of 1 lakh rupees. In input, I only have CGST of assuming 40,000 and SGST of 40,000, or rather 70,000, SGST also 70,000. All right. Now, of course, as you are all aware that in this case, I'll not be liable to pay any GST because my GST input GST is much more than my output GST. But my dear participants, do you see the problem with this? Do you see the problem with this? And the problem the GST portal is going to create for us? The GST portal is going to do what? It is going to set off 70,000 of CGST with this amount and rest 30,000 with this amount, leaving us with a balance of 40,000 of SGST and zero balance of CGST. Balance set off. This is what is going to happen on the GST portal by itself. Because the rule is very simple: IGST, CGST, and then SGST. But the rule also says, section 49A, 49B, and rule 88. Rule also says that you must utilize the IGST credit first, and then the order does not matter. What happens is that when you actually go to GSTR 3B, and from there you click on proceed to payment, you scroll down, and you see the set off which is done by default by the GST portal, that actually takes up CGST credit first, SGST credit later on. If we have not intervened in that situation, if we do not intervene in that situation and ask the GST portal to change the amounts, or rather change us ourselves manually, then a huge imbalance is going to create. A huge imbalance will be created. How? The imbalance would be that CGST would get wiped off and SGST would have 40,000 balance. And SGST 40,000 balance will be carried forward to the next month. In a manner, what will happen is that in one head, you will have a piling up of credit ITC, and at the second hand, you'll have the ITC which will get reduced like anything. So imbalance will be created. So where is the rule for ITC optimization? Where is the rule for ITC optimization? The ITC optimization says that you can use 50,000 here and 50,000 here, leaving out a balance of 20,000 in both cases. But sir, unfortunately, there is no software, or I should say publicly available free software that can do it for you. There is no absolutely free publicly available software that can do it for you. But my dear participants, where is the harm of creating your own software? Can you not create your own software? Is it not possible to create your own application? Yes, of course. We all have been empowered now through not coding, but vibe coding. We all have been empowered through vibe coding. And how do you do that? You turn to an AI tool. And there are not AI tools that you can actually turn into. The easiest one that probably I should say, and the most commonly used one is, of course, Claude or ChatGPT. You can use whatever you like. Claude, ChatGPT, whatever you feel like. Whatever one you are comfortable with. So what do? I go to Claude and I type in a very simple prompt. What could be that prompt? Create a standalone HTML file that requires user to input. What all do you want to input? What all do you want to input? Opening balances of IGST, CGST, and SGST. Output liability of, again, for the month. Input credit of IGST, CGST, and SGST for the month. The most, okay, then it then suggests the user the most optimum manner of utilization of credit as per provisions of CGST Act 2017, so that no imbalance is created between two ledger heads. All right, a very simple prompt, a very simple prompt. You could also have taken RCM credit into consideration. Okay, what I'm doing is I have put in this simple prompt, and this prompt then creates my GST ITC utilizer. Meanwhile, if my participants are saying that, sir, we want to have this prompt, although this is a very simple prompt, you can take a screenshot. You can take a screenshot and you can copy this prompt also. All right. What will happen with this is that you will have a standalone HTML file created which will work for you every month. This HTML file will work for you every month. So you do not have to juggle between the provisions. You do not have to struggle with the provisions. You can simply feed in the details. What is your opening balances? Then what is the total output liability which is there in the month? Input credit which is accrued to you during the month? And what is the best way of utilization? Where should IGST be taken? And in what proportions CGST and SGST must be taken? So it is as simple as that. The best way of creating an ITC optimizer. All right. All right. So meanwhile, till the time it gets created, I think we have sufficiently wrapped up within time all the topics. Now let's proceed to Q&A and any questions that you have. Vishalji, are there any questions? Let's take up the questions that the participants would have asked during the session now.
Yes, there are two questions which has been put up by the participants. First one is, in many cases, client expect the chartered accountants to alert them about vendor non-compliance, blocked ITC, wrong tax classification, or delayed invoice reporting. How can automation and dashboard help the CA move from being only a return filer to becoming a GST risk advisor? So, sir, this
Very
is
nice. So very well, sir. Absolutely correct. So with regards to how you can check whether the supplier is compliant or non-compliant is by this simple fact that when you go to Tally, and I think I can share an example here. When you go to Tally, let me see. Yes, now I've shared my screen. So whenever you go to Tally and you go to any ledger, let's say this is a ledger. Okay, I open that ledger. Let's open the ledger of Reliance only, which I think I created. Yes. If I fetch details using GST number, I have already fetched details. Sir and ma'am, on the right hand side, you would be seeing the filing history. On the right hand side, you will be seeing the filing history. And now you see the whole filing history, which used to be available to you on the GST portal. On the GST portal, by manually feeding it the GST number, it is right there in front of you. It is right there in front of you. All you need to do is to create simple workflows. And what I would suggest, have Google Apps Script at work. Have Google Apps Script at work where such details can be put in a Google Sheet, and thereby these details can be forwarded to the client on a monthly basis. So automation is going to help you in a big manner in that case. And with regards to strategic advising, yes, this is what our task was about. That today we want to shift our focus from the return filing, because as we have seen, the return filing is no different from the, if the accounting is correct, the return filing is very, very simple. It's a next step. But what comes is the last thing that I've explained. My last topic was probably of the most importance, the ITC optimizer. And I'll show you, I think I've already completed the ITC optimizer. If you'll see that it is already there, that once you enter, let's say opening balance 50,000, CGST 10,000, SGST 10,000. All right. Then you go to the output liability. Output liability, let's say, assume ki we have IGST only 60,000. Output of this is 0. Output of this again is 0. Input IGST, assuming we don't have any. Input, let's assume we have 50,000 and 50,000. My dear participants, if I click on calculate optimal ITC calculation, it tells you how to avail this. It tells you how to avail this. It tells you IGST ledger, CGST ledger and SGST ledger at the same time. And because of this calculation, you will be able to see that my CGST and SGST ledgers are of the same amount. CGST and SGST ledgers are of the same amount closing balances. Closing balances. Right? So this is what happened with my CGST and SGST ledgers, how I reconciled those ledgers, and not just reconciled, but I also got them at equal par, and certainly hoped that there is no mismatch. All right. So it takes care of section 49 and rule 88A as well. So I hope that this question was answered. Right. All right. Next question, sir, if you have any.
Yes, so there is one more question. What are the common mistakes you see in GST reconciliation and ITC optimization? And how can members in practice build a standard operating procedure in their firms to
Right.
avoid these mistakes on a recurring basis? So this is the last. Yes.
Right. So, sir, I think in the session itself, we have taken multiple points where I have highlighted what are the common mistakes that are happening because of, I'll not say ignorance, but because of lack of awareness of the features that we have in the tool. So, one of the important things that can be included in an SOP, or how an SOP can be created, is by simply ensuring that every month you download your GSTR 1, 2A, 2B, 3B from the portal itself, and then you start to reconcile. When you actually reconcile, what happens is that if you have simply doing it backdated, then that also creates a problem. Also, lack of authority and lack of responsibility taking in organizations is also a big problem. How do you overcome that? Let me share my screen with regards to Tally, and I'll come with that also. I hope many of my participants have set up user controls in their organizations. User controls in their organizations. If they have not, let's see how to do that. You have to go to company, and there you have this feature, sorry, in data, you have this feature of security. In security, control user access to company data, yes. Put in any username, password, let's say admin, whatever I want to put. Okay. Yes. This is the email ID. Okay, fine. And Tally audit features, I'm sure my members should be enabling. Then yes. Enter, enter, enter. Right. What happens next? What happens next? You go to company, and then you set up users and passwords. So let's say you have one data entry operator. Username could be operator 1. Password, let's say they have. Okay. Then for data entry, you also have operator number 2. And they don't have any password. Okay, fine. Now what happens is, let's say if I make any single entry, if I make any entry on 31st of March 26, and this entry is for cash payment, let's say to salary, or salary security, okay, 50,000, enter, enter. Now what is the important part? The important part is, when you go to this salary security, you go to configure, and you click on show entered altered by. You click on show altered and entered by. You see this, that this is entered by the admin. This entry is entered by the admin. Now what happens? You give access to the operator, data entry operator. You go to change user, and operator 1 comes in. Whose password is this. And then operator 1 also makes a similar entry. Okay, sorry, I think data entry voucher access was not given to operator 1. So let's see, let's change the operator 2. Acha. I'll just change the user, go to admin and enhance the role. Okay. Instead of data entry, let's make them owner. Okay, just for a second, assume. Now, change the user, operator 1, right. And now operator 1 puts in some entry of payment, cash payment only, and he does that salary security of 20,000. Now, my dear participants, what happens is you go to the daybook, you open the daybook, and there you see you have the exact pinpoint of who has entered which entry. Who has entered which entry? Which entry is by salary security, and which entry is by 50,000 entries by which one? 20,000 entries by whom? So exactly pinpointing that which person has made which entry is done by this part. And when you ensure that you have user roles in your organizations, this will lead up to responsibility and ownership of responsibility. And this will clear a lot of things for you. I hope I'm clear on this part. Right. Any other questions, sir, if you have? All right. Vishal sir, do we have any questions?
Sir, all questions has been very well answered by you. So we now can conclude the session accordingly. So thank you very much, CA Rupal Garg sir, for addressing the questions so effectively. Today's session has given us a very clear message. The future of GST practice will belong to those professionals who combine technical knowledge with digital system, automation, reconciliation discipline, and advisory thinking. GST compliance is not only about uploading numbers, it is about ensuring that the data is correct, the credit is protected, and the risk is identified. Members in Practice Committee is committed to supporting members in practice through such practical and capacity building initiatives. We sincerely hope that today's webinar will encourage participants to review their own office system, improve their GST workflows, and adopt connected tools for the better compliance and client services. On behalf of the members and practice committee of ICI, we express our sincere gratitude to CA Madhukar Hiragange sir, our chairman, and our eminent speaker CA Rupal Garg sir. We also thanks to all the participants for joining in large numbers and for their active participation. With this, we conclude today's webinar. Thank you. Thank you to all the participants and thank you, Rupal Garg sir. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. It has been really a pleasure. Thank you all the participants and thank you to the committee. Thank you so much.